Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Daffy's Roundtable. In today's episode, we're joined by another incredible reptile keeper all the way from Germany. So recently, I've been super interested in the idea of greenhouses and building your own enclosures, and that's why for today, our guest is Flo of De.Repties, an incredible reptile keeper who has built his own greenhouse and is keeping some of the coolest species in it. Join us as we talk about Flo's experience building and maintaining the greenhouse, and then we also take a deep dive into, I'm going to butcher this name, Enyalioides laticeps, or the common name is the Amazon broad-headed wood lizard. We take a deep dive on this super rare species that we don't commonly see in captivity. We talk about how he keeps them, what he's doing with them, what he feeds them, all the husbandry things that you need to know about Enyalioides. I think I got it right that time. Anyway, before all of that, before we dive into the episode, allow me to thank Exo Terra for sponsoring this podcast and making this episode possible. Exo Terra makes quality products for our pet reptiles to make them feel at home. Okay, without further ado, let's dive into the super fascinating episode. Everybody, please help me welcome Flo of De.Repties. Flo, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, man? How are you?
Good, good. Thank you very much for coming on. Thank you very much for joining us all the way from Germany. I'm super excited to do this. You're my second German guest, and I think I'm going to continue to
great.
do the hobby over on that side interests me, and I think you guys do things very interesting. Which, I mean, there's a sneak peek right behind you right now of what we're potentially going to be getting into very soon. But yeah, man. Maybe let's start there. I want to ask you how you got into the hobby and all of that, but maybe let's very quickly, in your opinion, what do you think are some of the differences between the hobby over there and maybe just Germany or maybe Europe in general versus like North America? Sorry for putting you on the spot with this one. Right. As soon as you get on, I'm throwing the hardballs at you.
Full on. So okay. So for North America, I think it's pretty similar to Germany, to be honest. In my opinion, what I know, I see a lot of you guys over there have like bioactive setups, planted enclosures. I don't know if it's just better represented than in the US hobby because you are like a smaller crew over there that are on YouTube. But what I see, it's like a little bit more advanced than in like the US, but that's only what I see. But in Germany, it's funny because a lot of people overseas think that the German hobby is super next level or something like that. But I think it's the same like every other country, to be honest. You see maybe a little bit extremer setups or something like that, but overall, I see a lot of bad keepers too. So I think it's pretty similar.
Yeah, that's interesting. Did you say that there was a smaller group of people here doing YouTube than over there, than like in Europe, or did you mean the other?
No. I mean US compared to Canada.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. It's much smaller. A lot less of us here, man. A lot less of us for sure.
Yeah, but
awesome. Okay.
But you're all very good connected, right? So
yeah, I think the majority of us live fairly close to each other. I'm the furthest one away actually, and I'm only 5-ish hours away. But everyone else kind of lives within like an hour to 2 hour range from each other. So, and we all meet up for all the expos and stuff like that. So we're kind of it's cool. A lot of fun for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, nice.
Awesome. But anyway, so let's get into the important stuff. I'm super excited to have you on once again. I think this is gonna be an awesome episode. Before we get into the really cool species that I want to talk about and the incredible greenhouse that's behind you, tell us a little bit about you, man. How did you get into the hobby?
So I was basically into animals and reptiles, especially my whole life, since I can think. And it started with insects, so stick insects, praying mantises, stuff like that. And from my father, a buddy of his has a own reptile shop.
Nice.
And he introduced me to him, and that's where the passion grew. And my first pet reptile was actually a panther chameleon. So
wow. Okay.
the first one fully on. And after that, pretty different animals that I kept. My parents were kind enough to gave me a whole room where I can
That's
live out
awesome.
the hobby. The only compromise was that I wasn't allowed to have snakes and spiders. So
Fair. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that was the only thing. But yeah, over the years it grew, and I always wanted to have like bigger animals, so varanids or something else. And at one point in time, I was able to buy Varanus indicus, so the mangrove monitor.
Nice.
And I built like with my father together a big enclosure, so 2 by 2 by 2 meters, so pretty big. Once I got the animal, so at first it was like two. One died because it it gets squished under the water area.
Wow, the water bowl or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this was like a hard thing. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, it's a big problem. And he was a male, the one that I had left, and he grew like very very big. So
For sure.
the enclosure was pretty big, but at one point I thought to myself, okay, I don't like that anymore. Like I don't like to see such a big animal in like a small enclosure, and I only had him to like, yeah, I have a Varanus and I'm like cool now. Um, but yeah, I decided to let this animal go, and was like, okay, I have this big enclosure, so maybe I should put like only small animals in there. And this was like the first time I did a big build with only small animals, and the benefits and also everything was like super great. The behavior of the animals is amazing. And from that on, yeah, that was like the thing that I wanted to do: small animals and big enclosures. Yeah, that's like the short version of my journey.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's super interesting. And did you see, you said behaviors there. Did you see a lot of
Mm,
different behaviors in these, like in the same animals once you put them in these bigger enclosures?
yeah, definitely. For example, with anoles, so once I put them in the big enclosure, I thought, okay, they are gone now. I never see them again. Maybe when I feed them a little bit, but as soon as they were in the big enclosure, like 2 weeks after, they were super like they came to me, uh, even on my hand and stuff like that, because they know they have the space to escape, you know.
Yeah.
And also because of the size of the enclosure, you can really have like different temperature zones. The animals can really, yeah, get what they
Exhibit
need
true
and what they
behaviors.
want. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Did you sort of see them using the micro habitats? Like, where do you see them basking more frequently and then maybe digging around in the soil as well? Or
Yeah. They run around all the time. That's also the thing. Like because a knoll, for example, is always on the run,
yeah,
and you don't have to yeah, be careful with overfeeding or stuff like that, because they burn so much calorie. So that's also nice. And you see like they bask, and then 10 minutes after that they are on the ground looking for something, and 10 minutes after that they are on a completely another spot. It's very cool. Yeah.
so yeah. So it's the enjoyment of watching the
Yeah,
the behavior. Yeah. Are you team? This is completely random, but are you team? I prefer to handle my reptiles and be able to like have animals that I can pull
yeah.
out and hold, or are you team like let them do their thing and I just want to watch their behavior?
At the moment, I'm like, let them do their behavior,
Do their thing.
especially
Okay.
with the animals I have now. They're like, they're not shy, but yeah, I don't want to handle them. I think it stresses them out too much.
For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
but it
yeah.
depends on the species. Some animals are cool to handle, like monitor lizards or something like that. I think it's a benefit to train them or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so what are you currently keeping?
So at the moment, I have like 1.1 Enyalioides laticeps.
Yeah, I can't even say that.
And
I'm glad you did.
yeah, I hope it's right.
Yeah, yeah. No,
And
it sounds right. It sounds right.
yeah, and also a female Lepidophyma smithi, so a night lizard. And yeah, that's it.
Are they all in that same enclosure
in
is
the
behind you? Oh, I
greenhouse.
don't know.
Yeah,
I just realized it's like
exactly.
zoomed in a lot. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
It's like
shows kind of the size of it a little
the
bit better.
size.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. So and you have them together. Okay, so maybe I'll jump before this. I think you also had the anoles
yeah,
in with something else as well, right?
exactly. So at first, I built this setup for Amazon tree boas because when I
Okay,
moved together with my girlfriend, instantly bought some snakes because now I can do what I want.
you can finally do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I wanted to build something big. And then opportunity came around to buy Coryptophanes cristatus, so the helmeted iguanas.
Those guys are
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, those are very, very cool. And I put them together with Anolis grahami. So the thing is, I wouldn't bought them, but a friend of mine gave them to me as a present.
Okay.
Yeah, so I put them in there because like they are from the Caribbeans and Coryptophanes are from South America. I don't like to mix that up, but
Right.
when you get them for free, so
Yeah,
it's a, yeah,
yeah, you gotta accept a gift like that, right?
yeah, yeah, that's true, that's true.
Yeah.
But to be honest, so in Germany they are not that expensive like in the US. So I think in
the,
the US they are going for like 600 or something like that a pair.
the anoles or
Yeah,
the
there are those.
I honestly I'm not into the anole market, so I don't know too much. I think it
Mm,
would depend on the specific species, right? Like I've seen
yeah, yeah,
anoles, the more common species for like as cheap as $5, and then some of the
yeah,
expensive ones, like you said, for like $7, $8, $900 for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, I don't really I don't really follow the anole market too much, but that's okay. So that's interesting. So you've been sort of cohabbing in this greenhouse for a
Mhm.
while.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
what's your opinion on cohabbing? Like, do you think
Mm,
that you need a specific amount of space to make it work? Like, what's your thoughts on it?
so I think space is definitely a big point. And also you have to be smart with like combining the animals that you are cohabbing. So for example, so I had the Corytophanes. So they're like the Acanthosaura. It's like they pretty much never
Don't
move.
move.
So they're
Yeah.
yeah, they are crazy. There are even papers on them that they are found in the wild with like moss and algae growth on them. So
Wow, because they move
yeah,
so little.
yeah, 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 it's crazy.
Wow.
So they had like the niche of like tree trunk dwelling animal. Then I had like the anoles that are jumping around all the time, and also the Lepidophyma. This was like because I had an isopod outbreak. I bought this Lepidophyma to get it under control, and that's also very funny because Lepidophyma is often kept in like a very small setup, so not they given no height. And once I put the animal in there, she's always on like the fake rock on top, like it's almost 3 meters high,
She
and
climbs,
she
yeah.
yeah, she's always up there. So that's awesome.
This is the night lizard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Those guys are really cool.
yeah, they're cool and they're big. They're getting this big. My female
Really?
is huge. Yeah,
You
and she
only have the
gave like
one?
yeah, yeah. So she's also she gave me like 10 babies.
Oh
So
wow.
they can do pathogenetics. I hope
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, parthenogenesis. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I guess you've rehomed the babies then.
yeah, yeah. I sold them. Yeah,
Okay. That's interesting. Did it work what you said you got it because you had a an isopod outbreak.
yeah,
Did it solve the
yeah,
problem?
yeah. Now I have no
No
isopods
isopods
anymore.
at all,
Yeah,
huh? Yeah,
yeah,
that's super
it worked
interesting.
almost too good.
Okay, really, really cool. Okay, so maybe let's quickly we'll dive into the greenhouse itself, and
Yeah,
then we'll come back to the I'm not even gonna try to say it.
yeah.
There
It's
must be a
fine.
common name for them, right?
I think they're like Amazon broad-headed lizard, but
Amazon
there's no
brought that. Okay.
German word for them. So I only
Okay.
use the scientific. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, for sure. It's just it's gonna take me a while to get used to saying that scientific name. They're a very cool
Yeah.
species. I know we said I'll talk about them in a minute, but we'll maybe we can just touch on them.
Yeah.
They come and go in Canada.
Okay.
I've only ever seen them for sale like in the past 3 years, maybe once.
Yeah.
And I only know like one or two people with pairs, so it's
Okay.
very uncommon here. But they're gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous
Yeah.
animal. Like they really, really
There's
should be, yeah, more
yeah.
widespread.
they are crazy. Like maybe we can later talk about them.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay. So the greenhouse.
Yeah.
My first question really
Hmm?
is like my biggest concern when it comes to thinking about these things and like building larger enclosures, and even like I like the way you've done it with like it's majority glass, but like even if you were to think of building like larger enclosures of
Hmm?
wood or whatever it is, it's rust proofing. Like
Yeah.
worrying about rust or worrying about leaks or like
Hmm?
moisture content and water is kind of like my would be my biggest
Yeah.
concern.
Same.
How do you yeah, how did you battle that? What did you do to kind of
Okay.
stop the problems
So
or
so
prevent
the
problems?
yeah. So the thing is, the greenhouse. Maybe I can show it. Like it sits like this part. So the first 50 centimeters, it's like a wooden box. I built it,
Okay. Yeah.
and then it's called PCE Lastogum. It's like you can seal showers with that stuff. So
Okay,
it's
cool. Yeah.
waterproofing, and so 3 coats of that, and after that a pond liner also in there to be like super.
Completely sealed. Yeah.
Yeah, because our floor in this apartment is like old wooden floor, and when this gets flooded, I'm done.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
um, and the aluminium frame sits on top of it, so it makes like a lip. So when water drops down, it never runs into the it runs into the pond liner, but it can't run in between the pond liner and the wood.
The
You know
wood.
what I
Okay.
mean?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole greenhouse, so only the front and side part is glass, and the rest of it is all with polycarbonated panels. So the greenhouse panel stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's so big, I would have issues with weight. And I chose to also the aluminium and the greenhouse panels for that because it's very big. It's like 1 meter 50 long, 1 meter 30 deep, and 3 meters high.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing maybe weighs like 200 kilos or something,
Yeah.
maybe
There's
even
no
less.
moving
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. But it's not that heavy when you compare it to a full glass greenhouse, for
For
example.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Glass is very heavy on its own in general, I think.
yeah, yeah, that's true. And the thing is, maybe you think it's very expensive to build something like that, but the greenhouse cost me without the plants and stuff like that, just
Just the
the
build
thing.
itself.
Yeah, it cost me like I think it was 1,000 euros,
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
everything. So
For an
it's
enclosure that big, that's not. I was
yeah,
expecting way
no,
more actually. Yeah.
yeah, that's actually was very good. And also a good part about it, because everything is like it's not glued or something together. Like, do you know the aluminium frame works where you can stick the things together? And then so it's connected with like I don't know how to say it.
It's like it kind of goes together instead of like being glued or
Yeah,
silicone
yeah,
together.
or yeah.
I assume that means it can come apart easy.
Yeah, super easy. So
Okay, that's
two friends of
interesting.
mine have like the same greenhouse, a little bit bigger,
I've seen them.
but
Yeah.
yeah, they both moved, and it was like super easy. We get it done in like a day,
Awesome.
debuild it and build it up again. So it's no problem. Yeah.
That's very cool. Okay, what about misting and like, do you have like a misting system set up on
Mhm.
it, or do you go in there with a hose kind of and keeping it
Yeah.
wet?
So the, this greenhouse is now running for like 1.5 years, and I have the Mist King system on there. I have like 50 nozzles. But the thing is, because of the height, the mist is very fine, so I can only cover like the first meter or something with it. And every 2 days, I have to spray like
You have to go in there and give it a
yeah,
proper
but
spray.
yeah, but it's super fine because I like it that way, so I can look for plants, look for the animals. So it's automated, but I need to do some spraying and stuff like that. Yeah, and I also have like a fogging system in there.
Nice.
Um, PC fans for air circulation. And I also have, of course, lighting. I have like 5 Arcadia jungle dawns.
Wow.
I have
Are
like
they are they inside the greenhouse, or are they like sitting on the outside on like a screen or something?
so 4 are outside and
Okay.
1 is inside, but that's the thing I would definitely do differently, because on top there's also like the greenhouse panels, but over this 1.5 years, with the dust and with the light, it gets a little foggy, so the light doesn't penetrate very good down. So when you hang it inside of there, it's like definitely better, but I like the look more when it's like on top.
When it's outside, yeah.
Yeah, and I had a D3 basking lamp also on top. But the thing is, our apartment is not that warm. So in the wintertime, I changed it for like a heat panel. And the
Okay.
heat panel is inside of the greenhouse. So I can get like a higher ambient temperature. And because the Enyalioides almost never bask, it's fine for them. Yeah.
Yeah, I assume they're probably where do they come from? Like Ecuador?
Ecuador, exactly. So
Yeah, yeah.
Ecuador, Peru, and the Amazon, Brazil. Yeah.
Yeah, so they might even like not, yeah, they probably don't like it that warm anyway, right?
No, they're like, the thing is, because they're like so uh, in such different habitats. So some of them live like in pure rainforest where it's very high humidity and high temperatures, and
Yeah,
some sightings were like in Ecuador on like mountain sides where like the temperature drops down to like
very cool.
17 degrees or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so let me ask you this. So when you the initial like concept of, oh, I want to build a
Mm.
greenhouse, was it initially planned to be for reptiles, or did you just want to build a greenhouse for plants?
It was for reptiles, but
It
because I
was
love
already okay.
plants, yeah, it's like maybe I can combine both of them and make like one statement piece, let's say that. So
Yeah,
it's also the only enclosure that I have at home. So I only have like 3 animals at the
yeah, it's
moment.
like it's your like display tank kind of.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And it's also in
And
the living room. So I wanted to look
look
nice, because we
nice.
don't. Yeah, if I would have like a reptile room, I would build it maybe a little bit different. But I don't have space for that at the moment.
Right, that makes sense. And when you were building it, did you have a specific reptile in mind when you were originally building? I know you've changed what you've kept in it
Mm.
over the years, but did you originally have a reptile in mind, or were you kind of just, I'm gonna build it and then find the reptile that I really like that fits this kind of environment?
Yeah, that's the thing, because I only have like this one enclosure. It's very hard to decide what type of animal you
For
want to
sure,
put in
yeah,
there.
I
Yeah,
bet.
that's like super tough. Sometimes I would like to have like another tank, because on some days I look in there and only see like the bad stuff. Oh, there's some thrips on the plants, or there's this and that. So I would like sometimes like to have a second enclosure where I can like, oh, okay, that's working nice in there. But
Yeah,
yeah, like I kept like the Amazon tree boas, but to be honest, snakes, I like the lizards. So
yeah, you're more of a lizard person, huh?
yeah, I'm a lizard person. Yeah,
That's fair.
and I thought about Corytophanes for a long time, and once the opportunity arrived, I took it. And over the time, so I knew Enyalioides. I saw them on pictures, but I never thought they were like in the hobby.
Yeah.
And like 2 years ago, I even asked in like a iguana WhatsApp group if somebody keeps them or has them for sale, and someone sent me like a link, and this was like 4 years ago that they were for sale.
Wow.
So and I only saw the US prices too, and I was like, okay, I could never afford
They're
that
very
animal.
expensive here. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like super expensive.
Like the thousands. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the pair that I saw was like 4,500 euros. Mm, yeah, crazy. And then one day there's like a German site called terroristic.com. There's like all the exotic market going on.
Yeah,
I
I've seen it.
saw, yeah, it's super interesting.
Yeah.
And then one day I saw the Enyalioides for sale, and I copied the link and sent them to Till and Ben, who also has like the greenhouse. So we three are like best friends. And I said, okay, when they are like under 2,000 euros, I'm definitely gonna buy them, because I thought, okay, they were gonna be well over 2,000 euros. And then the guy answers me and said like, okay, it's like 1,600, and I was like, oh, okay,
Much better.
That's a lot of money, but that sounds good. I have to take them
for sure.
And I don't really like to flip animals, to be honest. So I would like to keep them as long as possible, but I have to say for that animal, I have to sell the Corytophanes. And I sold them, and this, so I sold them for like 400, because they're also not that expensive here.
Right.
And then so I also collected sneakers when I was younger, and I had one like pretty expensive pair left, and this was like the pair I wanted never to sell, but I said, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna sell it.
For the right lizards, you'll sell anything.
Yeah, exactly. And then I had the money, and then I was like, okay, let's meet in Hamm. And those animals on the website were like juveniles, freshly imported. And 2 days earlier, the seller called me and said like, hey, Flo, we have like the same buddy, and he showed me your greenhouse, and I really like it. I have like a proven pair, adults. You can have them. And
wow,
I was like,
instead of the newly born ones. Wow, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, do you know how old they are? And he said like, he don't really know. But I was like, okay, it's like a pair. I'm definitely gonna get them.
Has he bred them?
No. Actually,
so they're not a proven pair.
No. Sorry, did I say proven pair?
No, you didn't. I'm just curious.
Okay, yeah. No, they're not a proven pair. So actually, there's only what I know of is like one person that bred them. It was the guy that was the guy that sold mine, but his female was like freshly imported with eggs. So it was it's captive bred.
She
but
arrived
not,
and laid the eggs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then I got them, and I looked for other keepers and found out, okay, there are like not a lot of people keeping them, and there's basically none information about them. And now I have like I made a Facebook group, and I think I now have we are 4 people at the moment.
Nice.
And that's basically all that I know of that's keeping them. So if anyone else keeps them, they're definitely welcome to shoot me a DM or something. And yeah, we try to help each other out and stuff like that.
It's sort of cool. Figure them out. Yeah. So the majority of the ones that come in are wild caught then.
Yeah. Almost all of them. Yeah.
And so you bought the only reason the only reason you sold the Christus, the Corytophanes, the helmet iguanas, was because you wanted these guys then.
Yeah,
they're not like a boring species to keep.
No, not at all. I really enjoyed them to keep them, because like they're the perfect display animals, or they don't move a lot, but you can blend the setup very nice. And I really like to take a deep dive into a species. For example, when you have like such little animals, or that amount of animals, you have to really go like on a deep dive with. You can go down the feeder insect rabbit hole, or temperature, or different type of stuff. Yeah, that's what I like.
Yeah.
And the Enyalioides were like, okay, that's a big challenge to get them. It's also super cool to maybe find out or even breed them. That's like what I really enjoy.
It would be awesome if you managed to. I did see we did chat about this already on Instagram. I did see pictures of your female. She is looking big.
Yeah, she's looking
has
big.
Anything changed?
She's really looking big.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think if she were pregnant, she should let right now. But I'm not sure. She's really thick, but nothing changed. But like 1 month ago I saw a pairing. This was the first time I saw them lock up, and this was like for a week. And I think that's gonna be it. Yeah.
Sorry, they locked up for a week
No, there was like
or
always
like a
time off,
week
but
of multiple like
yeah, yeah.
locks? Yeah,
But
yeah, okay.
they are locking up for a long, long time, so over multiple hours.
Did you do anything that week that changed that might have triggered them to
The
in
thing
your
is, I think what triggered it was I had like the UV lamp was broken for a month, and
Hmm.
in that period of time I couldn't buy a new one because everything was so stressful, and I forgot actually about it. And when I installed it, it was like I switched the light, and
Immediately?
2 hours later they locked.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's
that's
very
super.
interesting.
Yeah, because you
Maybe
don't really expect it, because they're like always under branches and stuff like that, and in the nature they're even like in burrows on the earth. So maybe people think they don't need UV, but I'm pretty sure they need it.
yeah, yeah. Everything even through filtered light through the canopy, they're getting some extent of
Yeah,
UVB, I think.
I think every animal that lives outside needs
Absolutely.
UV.
Needs UV.
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that makes sense.
It makes no sense, because everybody gets a glimpse of sunlight, even nocturnal species. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's like
absolutely.
yeah.
Do you think I know you haven't bred them yet, but do you
Mm,
think that breeding them in the setup that you have, more naturalistic
mm,
greenhouse bioactive type setup, would be easier or harder than trying to breed them in a more what we call like the functional or the sterile
mm,
type setups?
mm. I don't think so. To be honest, I think the best way would be if I had the male and the female separate, because so there's two guys in the group that had like successful pairings, and one guy he called David. It's like what's his Anolis Breeder UK is his Instagram name, and he had like eggs in the incubator, and two animals. So he has only one egg left, and
The rest hatched?
no, they were dead.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
but he managed to almost breed them.
yeah.
Let's say
Get the
that.
eggs, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but he always said when he introduces the male, that instantly triggers them. And he has also nice setups, but not like a big greenhouse like mine.
Okay.
I don't think that makes a huge difference, but I like to provide like big amount of space, but that's for personal like, because the Enyalioides are like the Corytophanes, they move almost never.
Really? They're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
so even for like they're considered like an iguana species,
Yeah,
right?
they're like a Darth iguana species, yeah.
Yeah, so even for an iguana species, they don't move much.
No, not at all.
That's
So
surprising.
when you feed them, they are really on the hunt. So that's pretty crazy. They're like very food drawn,
Yeah,
compared, for example, to the Corytophanes. But so they are on the same spot. Like the girl changes her spot every other week.
every other week.
Yeah, yeah,
Thought you
it's
were gonna say
crazy.
every other day. That's so funny. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Maybe before we dive even further, and we've been talking about them. I see. This is what I always do. This.
Yeah,
I get somebody on to talk about a species that I'm super excited about, and then I say,
yeah,
okay, we'll talk about this first, and then I keep asking questions about the species. But
yeah. It's good.
before we officially get into them, although we kind of already have,
Yeah.
um, I'm curious about how you choose plants
Hmm.
for your greenhouse and how you like a keep them alive long
Hmm.
term while having animals in the setups. Like how do you pick plants that don't get trampled by animals? How do you pick
Hmm.
plants that survive the same conditions that your animals are surviving in?
Yeah. Okay, so with this setup, I chose only South American plants. So it's not a true habitat, because the plants are like from all over South America. But the thing is, because I like plants so much, I couldn't resist to by other stuff than Ecuadorian plants.
Right.
And
You don't want to limit yourself with one country.
yeah. But I think when I build another one, I go full on habitat because I like it, to be honest. And yeah, I think a big advantage in this case is that first off, the animals don't move as much, and also the enclosure is pretty big. But for example, when I had the Amazon tree boas in there was like also not a real big issue with the plants. In that time, that they were even smaller, so the plants, and you have to provide a lot of branches and other stuff to climb on, and maybe choose. Uh, to be honest, the plants that I chose were like only because I liked them off the looks. To be
Okay.
honest,
So you
so
didn't
what's
cater it to the reptiles.
no, not at
Okay.
all. S- Um, so what's maybe a little different plant that not everybody has, like in his in the enclosures. Like I have a big avocado tree in there.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I even had like a cacao tree in there, but that one died off sadly. But there's a lot of cool plants that people are not aware of. You can also put like ginger or curcuma. Just the root, you can buy it in the supermarket, put the root in there, and it will grow like a very cool looking plant. And you can also harvest like the ginger when it is fully grown.
Have you harvested avocados from your greenhouse?
No, sadly not. It's the avocado, they only fruit when they are like around 10 years old, and the tree is only 7 years.
Oh, but it's already 7 years.
Yeah, I bought it on eBay.
So you
Yes.
could be closer. You could be closer than, yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome. That's
this
super
would be
interesting.
awesome. But one time I collected like sweet potatoes in there. You can also put like a sweet potato inside of your enclosure, and it is like a very crazy looking plant. It's almost like passion flower and gets everywhere in the setup.
Does it take over?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to cut it back. Yeah. But it's cool
Interesting.
looking.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so and the curcuma plant is also very cool looking. It looks like a small palm. It gets like 1.5 meters.
Awesome. What are some other cool plants that you have in the setup that you don't really see in most setups?
Mm, so I have like Anthurium veitchi. It's like a it's like a arrow shaped veitchi, but it's getting pretty big. So the leaves can reach up to almost 2 meters in size. So it's like a
Wow.
very elongated leaf. They're looking like do you know Troy Goldberg, right?
Of course.
Yeah, and he has like the Vaichi in his, I think, Philomedusa, and like the big rain chamber
Yes.
type
Yeah, yeah.
enclosure. Yeah, this
They're
plant I
like they
have.
have like a triangular long leaves.
Yeah, and have
I think I
like
know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. This one is in there, and this is the plant that's doing the best inside of the greenhouse, and that's also my favorite plant. Um, and what's also underrated, I think, are ferns. They're like so many cool fern species out there that also give like a perfect jungle feeling when you
Yes.
look into an enclosure.
Ferns and
Mm,
mosses. That the
yeah,
two combination of the two really bring.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
especially
Absolutely.
moss. Oh, I love moss.
Yeah. How man? The more we talk, the more questions are coming. Okay, how hard is it for you to get like over here? Shout out Understory Enterprises.
Mhm.
Is really the only way we can get like proper Bavaria moss that doesn't, because
Mhm.
outside, and I may be wrong about this, but this is just what I've learned over time. The mosses that we collect from outside go through a rumation period
Mhm.
because it's so cold here.
Yeah,
So if we were to put them in our terrariums or vivariums, they don't last a long time because they need to go dormant. That's the word I was looking for.
yeah, Thomas. Yeah,
They need to go dormant.
yeah,
Um, so so really, it's very rare or very hard to find good mosses or liverworts that survive
yeah.
long term in vivariums. How is it? Is it the same thing for you guys? Like, do you struggle to find rare plants or rare mosses over there?
Mhm. No, not at all. We have like a lot of cool specialized garden centers in Germany that has a lot of cool variety of plants, and you can also ask in botanical gardens or like zoos, for example, for like cuttings that they would throw away, or especially moss. Like in a lot of botanical gardens, they pick it every month because it's overtaking. So you can get like cool mosses from there also. In the botanical gardens, you don't know if it's exactly like a South American moss or something like that. But like in the garden centers, you can buy them. But there's like a lot of cool online stores in Germany too that are specialized in like super rare stuff.
Yeah, I bet you guys have really really cool stores and like specialty places that like that sell stuff that we can only dream of getting our hands on.
Yeah, we have
And maybe
like
I'm
a lot.
wrong, but I just feel like it's like yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of cool stuff. We have like a lot of orchid garden centers specialized
That's
in
cool. Do you
them.
have any
Yeah,
orchids in the greenhouse?
no, in this one I don't have any, but I don't really know why. Maybe I need some.
Maybe you do. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've only ever kept, other than that, you know, the Walmart grocery store
yeah,
orchids that you can get
yeah,
everywhere.
the
I've only ever
classic.
kept the classic orchid. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've only kept two types.
Mhm.
Actually, I still have them in inside of a tank behind me, but they're not doing well. I,
Yeah,
I
I know.
I'm not good at keeping them. No, yeah. What about going in and how old is this greenhouse now? How long has it been set up?
2 years.
2 years.
Is it?
Okay, so
Yeah.
how what about like going in and cutting up plants and
Mhm.
kind of trimming? How difficult is it to do, and how frequently do you have to do it?
Okay, so at first it was like I let everything grew in, and once everything was like super nice grown in, I got like a huge thrips outbreak, and it it still is a huge problem in there, and it's like that for I haven't really had
And gotten
to.
more plants.
Yeah, got more plants and even cut the stuff up because a lot of it was
All
dying and I
right.
had to cut it back and it grew back and I get another thrips. It was like it's it's the worst. I put like every month I bought like predatory mites
Okay.
to get rid of them, but I think I spent like way over 500 euros on predatory mites and nothing worked.
It didn't work.
No,
You're still
didn't work.
battling thrips.
Yeah, still. It's
So
like for over half a year now.
do you have a game plan on how you're gonna figure it
But
out?
to be honest, I thought about maybe put like a CO2 bomb in there to kill everything off, but then you kill everything off, like
All the
your
microfauna, all the springtails, all
springtails,
yeah.
stuff like that. The thing is, my girlfriend and I are moving in at the end of the year to Copenhagen, and I have to debuild the greenhouse and build a smaller version of it. And I think that's the perfect time to really uh, get the
Quarantine all the
plants.
plants, get everything cleaned up.
Yeah, exactly. I would done it anyways, even when we wouldn't moved. That's the only thing I think to
Yeah,
do.
you're like you might as well wait till you do move.
Yeah, that's true. But the thrips are like also the worst pests. They're so annoying. I even thought about maybe putting some super small dart frogs or like greenhouse frogs in there to prevent that stuff because some of them are small enough to eat them, but I don't think it will work out, to be honest.
I got hit with thrips about, it's been a long time now. It was maybe like 2 years, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And every single tank in my room got hit, except, oh, sorry, except for my dart frog tanks.
Yeah,
And I assume that they did get hit, but the frogs were eating the
yeah,
thrips, and that's why it never happened. But man, it was a headache,
it's
and I
crazy.
I essentially like tore down my entire reptile room.
Yeah, it's the
Um,
worst.
it's yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting that you decided to live with it. Do you think that if you were
Mm,
just to kind of live with it till you decide to move,
mm,
that they die down on their own? Because I've heard for some people they have a population boom and then they
mm.
die.
Yeah, so it's definitely got better. And I think you in like a big enclosure like that, you can never get rid of any pests in there. You have to live with it and manage it that the plants don't really suffer that way they suffered at like my place right now. Um, that's like the main goal. But I think when you try to kill them all off, you're never gonna win the battle.
Yeah, for sure.
The
And
thing
that's
is,
no, go
yeah,
ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
the thing is, a lot of people say they are not like in high humidity areas, but it's bullshit because like the greenhouse has
High humidity.
almost, yeah, it's like 80 to 100% humidity. So don't really know why.
It
But
doesn't.
the thing is, the only plant that didn't get hit is like the Anthurium tree. That's
The one you really like?
yeah, that's
That's a
like
blessing. That's a
yeah,
blessing, man.
yeah, that's a big blessing. Yeah,
Yeah. That's hilarious. Okay, so that's what kind of talked about the plants and like cutting back
yeah.
plants. What about general maintenance
Mhm.
to the greenhouse? How often do you have to do it, and what do you have to do?
Well, to be honest, it's not a lot of work. So I have like
Okay.
more work with my feeder animals than with the greenhouse itself. So, like I said, the only thing I really do is like spraying it down. And I also have like a small water feature in there and change that water once a week. And
Okay.
everything else, it's like changing water on the Mist King and changing water on the fogger. That's pretty much all. So all the poop and stuff like that gets eaten by the springtails and the animals that I have inside of there. Compared to the size, the poop is like super
It's
small.
nothing. Yeah,
It's nothing. Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay, so we'll wrap up the greenhouse talk on this.
Yeah.
Um, Glass terrarium. So like,
Mhm.
other than
Yeah.
size,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
obviously you're never gonna be able to get like an Exo Terra or Zoom Head or
Yeah.
whatever
This big.
at that big, right? So other than
Mm.
size, because that's the obvious pro. Glass terrariums versus greenhouses. Is there that
Mhm.
much of a difference? And like, sort of, what are the pros and cons of each, in your opinion?
Mhm. So the thing is, at first, should we talk about like the same sizes like as the biggest Exo Terras, or like when we talk about bigger sized enclosures?
Yeah, like, yeah,
Because
if you were to compare like a greenhouse that's the same size
mm,
as the biggest size Exo Terra.
okay, so I think it depends what you like from optic kind of thing. I really like the aluminum frame stuff, and you can build parts even on it, even when it's like finished. You can change stuff out, stuff like that. And I like it because it's super lightweight. But you have to be willing to do DIY stuff. So that's the part when you just want
That's
to
the con.
have
Yeah.
a greenhouse or just have an enclosure ready, put the background in, and get started. It's I think it's not the right thing to do. But if you want to be creative, should go for like a greenhouse. And the thing is, I don't know how the prices are in the US with the aluminium and stuff like that. But compared in Germany, it's like the cheaper alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Would you almost say it's like the Lego of enclosures? Like you said,
yeah,
it's kind of you can take
yeah,
pieces out, you can add pieces in, you can change it, customize it over time.
yeah. That's a great description. Yeah, that
Yeah.
fits very well. Yeah,
Okay, awesome. I like that. All right, so before we jump back onto your really cool
the
species,
the
I'm gonna
Enyalioides.
avoid.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you for saying the name. I was gonna say I'm avoiding saying the name on purpose.
yeah.
Um, you did say you go down feeder insect rabbit holes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
maybe let's go down a quick rabbit hole on the feeder
yeah.
insects, because it's always a fascinating topic, because we up here in Canada don't get many options.
Mm.
We just had, I've said this 1,000 times on the podcast now, so the people that listen are probably bored of me saying this, but we only get discoid roaches,
Yeah.
crickets, worms, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
What do you have as feeder roaches? And it sounds like you also breed some of your own. So what do you breed, and what do you
Yeah.
feed? And yeah, give me your feeder insect rundown, or feeder bug
Okay.
rundown. Yeah.
Okay. What I have at the moment right now are like buffalo worms.
What are those? See, I've never even heard of those.
The super worms, the big ones.
Oh, okay. You
Yeah,
guys call them buffalo
yeah,
worms. Okay, okay,
yeah.
cool. Okay,
Buffalo worms, super worms. Then I have Dumia roaches. So
okay.
it's like
See, we
a
can't get
bigger
those.
roach. Yeah, we have like a crazy variety of roaches that we have access to. Then I also have like locusts. You can't also get them, right? Locusts? No. Yeah.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I wish we could get them. I
Yeah.
think I have been considering just collecting some like
Mhm.
grasshoppers that appear here in the summer and trying to breed them, but I don't think it would be very easy. And
Yeah.
I can barely keep crickets alive, so I, I don't know if I'd be able to keep them alive, to be honest. But no, we don't
Yeah,
get
yeah.
them. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
are
So
these all species that you are currently breeding and working with?
yeah, yeah, that's what I so the feeders in general, what we have like in Germany and Europe, it's like it's awesome. We have basically everything. The only thing what we don't really have is like silkworms and hornworms. It's like super rare to find.
And is that because they're bylaws or
No, nobody works with them, to be honest.
okay,
So the
interesting.
only chance we get them is like at the Ham Expo. There's like a breeder from Czech Republic or something that brings them, but you can't find them in like a pet store or something like that. Yeah,
That's
and I
interesting.
also
Those guys are pretty common here. Like we do see hornworms and silkworms.
yeah they're like great feeders. I really like them. Yeah,
We get them
crazy.
in packs.
Okay,
So
crazy.
they call
Yeah.
it silks to go, and there's like 12 or 13 or whatever there
Okay.
is silkworms in here.
So how much is like this box?
So retail at my local pet store
Mm,
or my local reptile store, I think it's $9.99, so
okay,
$10 for like
crazy.
13. So it's not cheap. It's like
Yeah,
it's fairly expensive, to be honest, because
yeah,
one of my
yeah,
dragons will take down 6 in one
yeah,
feeding,
yeah, and
right?
it's
So
gone.
it's
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not cheap, but it's a good it's good to have to put it in
Rotation.
yeah, exactly, in the rotation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's I think that the feeding stuff it's such an important topic. Also, I sometimes feed phasmids. I also bred them. So stick
Stick
insects.
insects? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I know
yeah.
this. Okay, yeah. Go ahead, yeah.
Um, and they're like, I had like 200 of them. So and
You were
they
breeding
feed.
them?
Yeah, yeah. I bred them. Yeah.
Are they easy to breed?
You need a lot of food.
Because
That's
okay,
the
so
thing.
and they only eat one type of leaf, if I'm not
No,
mistaken.
no. They eat like a different variety, so they're not that picky, but you have to have the right trees around in your area.
Right. What kind of trees were you feeding them? Or
so
what kind
I
of trees? What kind of leaves, I guess?
so the leaves that I feed them was like oh, what's the name in English? Um, wait, I have to Google for a second. Sorry.
So yeah, no, yeah, no problem, no problem. I'll tell you here. I think we only have one species that's legal to keep,
Hmm.
or at least I've only ever seen one for sale at the expos, and they're being sold as pets, not as feeders.
Yeah, a lot
Um,
of people here has them as pets also.
right, but if they're
Yeah,
easy to breed and you get a lot of them, I
yeah,
would be
yeah.
interested in seeing if somebody could try, or yeah, if it works out to try to keep them as feeder insects. They're I think it's oak leaves.
Yeah, I think oak leaves you can feed them too, and also blackberry. That's the main thing I feed them.
Blackberry
They
or
can
mulberry?
blackberry.
Blackberry. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
because
because
silkworms it's only mulberry, if I'm not
mulberry leaf.
mistaken. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, so here in the city where I live is like blackberries everywhere, so I can go out, collect that stuff, and feed it. But they eat a lot, and you also have to clean out the enclosure 2 times a week because they make so much waste.
Okay,
But
what about?
sorry, they're
No,
pretty
go ahead. Yeah.
easy to breed when you have like a bigger breeding group. It's no problem. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. Maybe you should think about it.
Give it a try. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
There's an expo coming up on March 3rd, and I know somebody that's going to be there will be selling them. They
Yeah.
sell them as babies, as pets, but maybe I can
Okay.
grab a couple and grow them out and see how it goes.
Yeah. The
Uh,
thing. Yes.
no,
Sorry.
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
The thing is the stick insects are like super cheap here in Germany because a lot of kids has them as pets, and you get like one stick insect on the internet for like 50 cents.
Oh wow.
So it's
Okay. They're cheap here too, but not that cheap.
okay.
I
Okay.
think they're like $5 each, something like that. So not
Yeah.
cheap enough to be a feeder, but if somebody
Yeah.
was to, breed them as a feeder,
Would dedicate it, and they're also
yeah,
a very fun animal to keep. I enjoy insects as well, so it's
yeah,
the perfect combination.
yeah. Talk to me about the locusts. You said
Yeah, yeah.
so what's it like breeding those? How does that work?
So they need it pretty hot,
Okay.
and they need a lot of airflow. So they hate it when there's humidity inside of that. So they instantly die pretty much. When you have like I feed them like carrots, cucumbers, salads, stuff like that. And when the enclosure is not well ventilated and the moisture builds up over like 2 days, a lot of them are dying. But so on top, so this whole part here on top is
Okay.
like where the lamps are, and that part are all the feeder insects. So they also get like UV, and there's like I think
Oh, they
35
get
degree.
UV as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. They're like also the temperatures are very high there, and I can move the locust a little bit uh, further to the lamp, and like the roaches a little bit away from them, so everybody has like a perfect microclimate. And yeah, I have them like set up in an IKEA box,
You
and
see that?
ah,
That's my snake
yeah, yeah,
enclosure. That's my heat lamp, and those are my roaches.
yeah.
So I'm doing the same thing. Yeah,
It's
using
perfect.
the,
Yeah,
the heat lamps as kind of the heat source. Yeah.
yeah. It's
Okay.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry. Go ahead. How did you have them set up?
So I have them like in an IKEA box, and then I put on one of the walls like the breast cork. I put some sticks in there, and I have like a little um, area where I have like wet earth, so a little wet earth, so they can lay their eggs inside of there. And they have to be adults, and they start to breed. And after like, I don't actually know how long the eggs are inside the earth. I think it's 1 or 2 months, and then small locusts start to emerge.
And you
Yeah.
just release them all into the greenhouse and let them grow out.
Yeah. No, the thing is, the Enyalioides are pretty similar to like the Corytophanes because they have like a super small, slow metabolism. They feed like compared to the body size, pretty large prey items. So they only eat not only, but I only offer them like the adults.
Okay. And
And
how often do they eat?
mm, so
Or how often do you feed
my female would eat every day, and nine.
The cat has to make an
Cat,
appearance. It's
cat,
just
yeah,
natural. Yeah.
yeah. They want
Does the
attention.
cat ever try to get inside the greenhouse?
They are curious, but no, they're just
No.
looking
Okay.
around. But when I when I actually feed like
The
the
bugs.
reptiles, the cats also get a locust too if they love it. They won't eat wet food. Don't know why. They're a little bit crazy, but the locusts they like.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I feed them 2 times a week, but it, so it depends. Sometimes I get them like maybe I feed them every day for like a week, and then I don't feed them for a week, and then so I don't make it consistent. So it's
You kind of keep it
always mixed up.
at a random schedule. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And
So
and and when you feed them, are you tongue feeding them, or are you
mm,
just sort of throwing in bugs into the enclosure and they run around and hunt?
it depends. So, for example, I don't know what really happened, but at first when I got them, both of them ate from tongues. And after I was like on summer vacation, the male completely stopped eating from tongues, and he now only feeds when I throw the locusts in there or the feeder insect. And yeah, he also needs he don't want to be seen when he's eating. and the female is eating from times with no problem. So that's pretty cool. I actually even fed the female pinky mice once. Yeah,
To kind of, give her that
yeah,
strength to lay the
really give
eggs.
her energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I say so the other Enyalioides keepers found out that the males are definitely much more picky than the females when it comes to feeding.
I will tell you, I can't base it off of like talking to different keepers because I don't think me and the
Yeah.
other mountain horn dragon keepers have discussed this before.
Mhm.
But in my experience, male mountain horn dragons are also more
Mm.
picky than females.
Mm. Yeah, I don't really know why, but yeah, the thing is, my male really ate like for a long time nothing, and he even got very skinny, and there was like a period where I have to kill the roach, cut it open,
Wow.
squeeze the juices out, put it in front of him, and then he start eating. But I don't know what was wrong, to be honest. Now everything is pretty much back to normal, but there was like a weird period of time.
Yeah. And the ones you have, yeah, sorry, just a comment on that. Could it be a seasonal thing? Because I find that sometimes not just my males and my females will
Mm,
eat, not stop eating, but eat significantly less for a
mm.
month or two at a time, and then they'll start eating regularly again. So could it be like
Yeah,
a seasonal thing?
I think it could be, but it was like, so I had like other animals that had like seasonal difference, but he was like really nothing for like 5 weeks.
Oh
So
wow, okay, yeah.
yeah, this was
I bet that was stressful.
yeah, it was super stressful. Every morning I thought, oh, he's gonna lay on the ground dead, but he survived. And yeah, when he does it again next year, I know it's seasonal.
Yeah, if he does it, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Fingers crossed. Hopefully he doesn't, but
yeah,
you
hopefully,
never
yeah.
know. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I've pulled up. I just for the people watching, the people who listen to the episodes, go Google them. But I've just pulled up a quick picture quickly just to show the people watching
Mm,
what we're talking about because they truly are incredible. Like, look at this.
yeah,
Like, wow, wow.
yeah,
Does the color is the color a sex thing? Like, is your male maybe more colorful than your female?
yeah. When you saw the picture on Google, the right down there with like the white background on
The white
the
background? Yeah, hold on. I can
yeah,
click on this one right here. Yeah,
yeah, Reptiles of Ecuador. Yeah, so it's basically pretty much like that. So my male is almost the same color,
as this guy right
and
here.
as this guy, yeah. And the female, my female is has like a little bit more black on the back, but is more neon colored,
Like
neon
her.
green. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
They almost look like the same as mine,
Interesting. Interesting.
but
Okay.
they have like. So the males are more colorful than the females, but I really like the color of the female, to be honest, because they're like super neon green.
Neon
It's
green.
very crazy. The males, so the other keepers, every male looks a little bit different. So there's one individual on iNatural that is like super blue. It's crazy. He's has like very crazy blue undertone.
On iNaturalist.
Yeah.
So like a wild specimen.
A wild specimen. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And the thing is, the wild specimen males are almost definitely looking better than the ones in captivity. So mine are very colorful compared to the other keepers, but we haven't figured it out why. So that's also like a big topic in our group. So what we can do different to get like a very nice strong color. Yeah, what I found out is like when there's a super high humidity and when I spray them directly, they're like after that the male is super fired up.
Fired
I
up.
think
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I think
And
it's has to do something with like very high humidity.
do all the you mentioned earlier you do have a UVB on
Hmm.
the greenhouse. Do all the other
Mm,
keepers have a UVB as well?
yes, all of them have
Okay,
them.
so it's not
Yeah.
that. And you all feed the same thing.
Yeah, also basically the same. Yeah.
Interesting, because I've heard of this in like certain species of frogs or other
Mm.
lizards or stuff like that, where increased carotenoids in the
Yeah.
diet and increased UV. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard of it as well. Increased UVB
Yeah.
kind of brings out those colors. So maybe it's something like
Yeah,
that. But
maybe
if you're
it's
feeding the
some.
same and you have the same UVB, or
Yeah, it's
yeah,
maybe it depends on the individual, or maybe there's a feeder item that we don't provide that really triggers maybe a fruit or something like that that has like a vitamin component in there that we don't
we
have
don't
like in
provide
the
it.
hobby. But
Yeah.
I try to feed fruit or stuff like that, but they never took fruit.
That's
Maybe.
interesting. I always wonder the same thing with my mountain or dragons.
Yeah.
Especially the babies. Like, are they getting something in the wild? Even if it's like a licking a rock to get a mineral that we
Yeah.
don't know about, right? Like, who knows what they're getting that we can't provide or that we don't know
Yeah.
about to provide, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
So
yeah,
I actually thought about the same thing with licking a stone or something like to get
yeah,
minerals. A lot of dart frog keepers has like the clay balls inside of there, and I also put like a
the calcium
clay.
clay. Hmm.
Yeah, I also put a calcium clay bath in there to maybe see if they use it, but I never seen them in there. They are lot of times in the water and bathing. That's pretty interesting to be honest. Maybe they get like a fish or something. You don't really know.
Yeah, how frequently are they in the water?
So in the summer month, the female was in the water almost every day.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting. So I don't want to keep comparing them to mountain dragons because obviously they're very different species, but they seem to act fairly similar.
yeah.
My
There's
males that are in the paludarium to my right
mhm.
now, all three of them are in the water daily, year
Yeah,
round,
it's crazy, right?
Yeah, crazy. My females, one of them goes to the water when the mister turns on.
Hmm.
So when it starts raining or whatever,
They're going
she goes to the
crazy. Yeah,
water. Yeah, she goes right to the water. The other two have no interest in it, and that's just one species. This is just capra. The other species
yeah.
have even less of an interest in it. Yeah, it's interesting to think that some of them will visit it every day within the same species, and
Hmm.
others won't. And I wonder if there's a sex thing involved as well or not. But yeah, fascinating, fascinating. Can you
Yeah,
walk
it's
us through a little bit of like a care guide for the? I'm going to try to say it. Enyalioides. Did I say it right?
yeah, and
Enyalioides.
just yeah,
Enyalioides. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Can you walk us through a bit of a care guide, like what temperature? What's the ambient
Hmm.
temperature? What's the basking spot temperature?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So at the moment, the thing is, because the greenhouse is like so high, I have like a lot of different temperature zones. So the temperature is like from 19 degrees down on the floor to like almost 35 degrees on top of the enclosure. I don't know how much it is in Fahrenheit, but
No, yeah,
um,
yeah. Me neither, but people can do their
uh,
conversion.
yeah, yeah. So the thing is they're almost always chilling like on the middle ground, so it's like 24-25 degrees, and the humidity have in there is from 70 to 100. It depends on like the day, and also how much did I miss before that and stuff like that. But you can say like 24 to 25 degrees with like yeah, 70 to 100% humidity.
Yeah, and it never drops below 70.
No, it's always very high humidity.
You said they're sitting at around usually around the 24 degrees, 25 degrees Celsius
Yeah.
mark. Okay, so
Yeah.
that one I do remember off the top of my head. The 24 degrees is actually 75 Fahrenheit, just for the people
Okay.
listening.
Okay.
So they're
Yeah. Yeah.
generally
Yeah.
sitting around there, which is actually interesting enough. Again, not to keep comparing because they're from completely
Oh,
different sides of the world, but
yeah, but it's
uh,
completely fine. They're like almost the same. They occupy the same niche. So
same niche. Yeah. So the
yeah.
mountain or dragons also I find sit at like 23, 24 degrees Celsius
Okay. Yeah,
when
that's
they're just
interesting.
hanging out. They all have basking spots
Hmm.
that get their enclosure up to, I want to say 28, 29 degrees
Hmm.
Celsius. None of them use it.
Yeah.
I never see them basking.
Same here. Like the basking, the heat panel at the moment gets like to 40 degrees on top,
Yeah,
and occasionally, so once a month, I've seen them up there. But
actually up there. Yeah.
yeah.
Is there anything that you find super fascinating about this species that we haven't mentioned?
No, we actually have mentioned a lot of it. So I think the most fascinating part about it is that there's almost no information, so we have to really find out what they really need. So I did like a super deep dive into iNaturalist, and there are like around 160 pictures of them. And to every picture, I wrote down the location and made like a map and looked up like weather data and
That's
collected all the
smart.
weather data and get like the average temperature and humidity from all the areas together. So I have like a feeling what's it like to keep them. And what's also very cool, that can tolerate like also very low temperatures. So one time it gets like down to 16 degrees, and they're like it's nothing for them. It's
Normal.
pretty fine. Yeah, I think they would be the perfect pet when they would be a little bit more active. You know what I mean? When you like
Yeah.
a display animal that's super cool to look at, it's the perfect animal. When you like to build enclosures, but you don't really interact with them or can handle them or stuff like that.
Right. Okay. That was actually my. I was gonna wrap up on that question.
Mm,
They're a dwarf iguana, and
yeah,
when you see other iguana species online, like the green iguana, you see a lot of
yeah,
videos of them, like even following their owners around.
yeah.
Or my friend Greg has the Fiji iguana.
The Fiji iguanas, yeah,
You can just reach in, pull him out, put him on your
yeah,
shoulder. He's super chill. He's super nice.
yeah.
It's is it anything like that?
No, not at
Not at
all.
all.
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
they are so the female, because she's like so food driven, she can run up your arm, but you can never pick. Okay, I would never say never, but at the moment I can't pick them up.
Do they get
So that
aggressive? Do they get defensive?
no, they run away.
Okay, run
Yeah,
away. Yeah.
yeah, they run away, and yeah, because I d- I don't like it so much to stress them out. So I think the thing is, because we have like the cats in here, I sometimes wonder if like it would be better to have them like in a separate room, because occasionally they see the cats moving around, and I think that sometimes stresses them out as well. But
Yeah.
the
There's a
enclosure is
predator
big
in the
and
room.
yeah, but the enclosure is big enough so they can hide, and I think they know that they're not coming inside of the enclosure. But that's also uh, something that I thought of when it comes to keeping them here. Because at the beginning they doesn't shown any size to breed, and I thought maybe it's because of the cats. But
Yeah.
yeah, you never know. Um, I think a little bit of stress is always good for the animals, to be honest,
And
because that
humans.
and humans as well. Yeah, yeah, true. You drive under pressure.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's
But
interesting.
so the sad thing is there's like a lot of the only two species in the hobby is like the Enyalioides laticeps
Laticeps,
and
yeah. Which is what you
and
have, correct?
yeah, which what I have, and there's like this name is I can't pronounce it, but I think it's like Enyalioides oshengensi or something like that. You can look on the
Yeah.
reptiles of Ecuador page. There's like every species on there. There are a lot of exciting ones.
It almost looks
Uh,
like they've been, oh, wow. What
yeah,
is this animal, bro? This looks like a mix of a mountain horn dragon
yeah,
and a savannah monitor.
yeah. It's great, right?
Crazy.
Yeah, but I love all the like crazy arboreal agame or iguana lizards or Lophosaurus or like Draco stuff like that. Oh,
I feel you.
that's like
I feel you.
such a dope niche.
They're so man. It's like they all look so prehistoric. They all
Yeah,
look like the last remain. Like all reptiles look like what I would imagine dinosaurs to look like. But
yeah,
these specifically these lizards that niche that you just
Yeah,
described, I feel like really encompasses
yeah,
what like
crazy.
crazy dinosaurs would have looked like.
Yeah, yeah. For example, like the Lophosaurus dipsilurus with like his huge crest is like
What is
crazy.
that? Sorry.
Lophosaurus dipsilurus.
Okay, can you text me that afterwards?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's
Just so I can check
crazy.
it out. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. So we'll wrap it up on this question. Even though I said I was going
Yes.
to wrap it up on a different question, my apologies. I'm wrapping it up on this question.
Yeah.
If you could give advice to anyone that wanted to uh, build their own greenhouse like the one
Mhm.
you had before, like the one you have the one built, um, yeah, what would the advice be?
Um, to be honest, just go for it, but you have to plan it out very, very good. So it's a little bit different compared to when you build like a class enclosure yourself, because you have to order like all the connectors and parts like that separate. You really have to think about it. And so a buddy of mine, he created like a 3D model, so we can really see, okay, we need that, and that. So when we ordered it, we have to order like a second time because we forget like three pieces or stuff like that. So it's cool when you like building stuff. It's a really cool alternative, but just go for it. So it's
Yeah, it's
also
awesome.
it's also the first enclosure that I built myself, and I will do stuff differently now. But when you don't do it, you can't learn from it.
You just okay. So one more question. One more question. I
Yeah,
promise. Last one. Last one.
yeah. No, I have time.
You said you'd do it differently. What's like the biggest thing that you would do different?
Mm, I would change like the polycarbonated panels on top for like more light to penetrate. And maybe I would try to build a lamp inside of the enclosure so the ground is really getting lit up. So, but I don't really like the looks of lamps inside of the enclosure. You, you
Me
know what I
neither.
mean? Or,
I
yeah.
absolutely know what you mean. Me neither. Yeah, I
Or
always
may,
prefer to go out, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or maybe so our apartment is like north facing side, so we don't get a lot of sunlight. But I think with an enclosure of this size, if you have like sunlight in your apartment, maybe you can put it on a spot where it's like morning sun or afternoon sun only for like half an hour, so it doesn't heat up in there like crazy, but to get like more light in there. That's like a thing I would do a little bit different, and install another misting system. To be honest, a stronger one. I love the Mist King. The quality is like perfect, but for such a big enclosure, it's too
you need
weak.
something bigger. Yeah,
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 for sure.
yeah. That's
Awesome.
like
Okay, that's very cool. On that note, I'm super excited to see what you do when you move and rebuild it,
yeah,
and how you
yeah.
rebuild it, and what you end up doing with it. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on, man. This was a super interesting episode. I'm
Yeah, of
fascinated
course.
with the concept of a greenhouse for your
Yeah,
reptiles, but also I'm just really fascinated with the.
Enyalioides.
Thank you. There we go. See, look, you got me,
Yeah,
man. You knew immediately where my mind went,
yeah,
attempting to pronounce this really hard Latin name. Awesome.
yeah.
Your name is already on the screen, but Flo, can you let everybody know where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram on like De.Repties is my handle. And if you have any questions, I'm always happy to join conversations and give tips or receive advice. I'm always open for that.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. And maybe one day, once you get the second one rebuilt, we'll have you back on here as well to talk about
Yeah.
some of the
Yeah.
differences and how
I
you
would
build it
love
different.
to. I would love
Awesome.
to. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Flo, for coming on, guys. You can fly Flo's Instagram link in the show notes. Give him a follow. Reach out to him. What an awesome dude. And yeah, thank you all very much for listening, and we will see you on the next one.